Hello, Massage Business Support Network. Alicia Crook here, coming to you live about a topic that we have been discussing and diving into this week, and I wanted to share some gold that has come out of 24 years as a practitioner. I know, I can't believe that. And 9 years in the coaching space, specifically in this industry. The reason that I love this topic is because it's something that I had to overcome massively before I could create a successful business. I became a massage therapist at the ripe old age of 19 because I had major back surgery at 15, and I knew that massage was so much more than just trigger points, because I could feel so comfortable and confident in who I was as a teenager who looked completely different to her friends. So I know firsthand the power that remedial massage and body work can really do and create in people's lives. So I started out as a baby therapist, just rocking out, loving what I was doing, working from my lounge room. Now, I didn't want to charge too much money because I wasn't that qualified yet, and I didn't really know what I was doing. So I charged $25 a session, cash. Like, even saying that now, I'm like, it's like, I don't want to, but the team are like, you need to share this. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll share this. So I charged $25. And I remember someone saying, oh, can I claim private health insurance with you? And I said, no. And they went, oh, it's okay, I'll wait. And I thought, yeah, you know what, that makes sense in my mind, because I'm just a baby therapist. I've just started. And, of course, why would someone want to pay more than that? Fast forward a few months, I reached out to a chiropractor in the area who'd been around for 25 years, and everyone knew it was like the Ocean Grove Chiropractic Clinic. So I reached out to them, and they had a room and allowed me to come in. And so for 30% commission, I got to go and rent a room. It was grey shaded areas. That's another live for another time. And I thought, well, now that I'm in a fancy clinic and it looks professional, I'll charge $75. Bearing in mind, this is probably 2001. So a long time ago. So I'll charge $75, and that should be, that's enough. That's great. And, I was learning my skills. I was getting hands-on modality skills. I was learning. I did Bowen therapy. I was working with the chiropractor. I was learning a bunch of stuff. He was really lots and lots of experience. Great. And I thought, it's time for a price rise. I need to go from, I think I was at $70. I need to go to $75 because I need to start making a little bit more money. Wasn't making enough. And I'm like, okay, so I remember I made a decision. I was going to put my prices up. And I said to my client, okay, I'm just I've had a price rise and it's $75. And I remember them leaning in. They got really close and they were like, you mean next time? And I was like, yes, that's exactly what I meant. So this one interaction fundamentally changed the way I did price rises forevermore. And I want to share how to actually have that conversation way more intentionally than I did as a baby therapist back in 2001. So in 2015, I stepped into the coaching space. So I'd been 15 years in the massage industry. I'd experienced business coaching. I'd learnt a bunch of coaching techniques and was like, okay, right, I'm ready to bring this to the massage industry. And I created a course, and I used to do lots and lots of breakthrough calls and sales calls. And what I did was spend the first 12 months listening and listening and listening and listening. And so many therapists, when I speak to them, would be like, I couldn't charge more in my socioeconomic area. I'm like, okay, why do people say it like that? I don't even know, but that's what I couldn't charge more in my socioeconomic area. So I'm like, okay, this is really interesting. This is language that keeps coming up and keeps going up and keeps going up. Like literally every second or third person would just be going, I couldn't charge more, I couldn't charge more, I couldn't charge more. And then I had this other crazy thing that would happen. People who would jump on a call with me that had worked on cruise ships. So on cruise ships, you might see 6 to 12 people in a day, and they all pay at least $250 for a massage plus gratuity, and you're expected to sell product. And so these therapists would come back with this experience of being able to charge more and just knowing people will pay it. Yeah. Now, no one came back and charged $250 for a session because, to be fair, you're not on a luxury cruise ship when you're back in your clinic at home. However, none of them ever said to me, I couldn't charge more in my socioeconomic area. And I was like, this is really interesting to me. Why are these people feeling like, and knowing what I was like too, why are they feeling like this? And yet there's other people who had other challenges that didn't know how to market their business or couldn't get clear on its structure or anything like that, but they didn't charge less than $100. And I'm like, why is that the case? Some of them, and I know this might sound crazy, some of them even charge like $150. And I was like, and this is almost 10 years ago. I'm like, why are they coming back and doing this? And this seems to be, and they're clients, people are saying yes. Like, I know, what? So I'm like, okay, so one group of therapists' perception around what they did and what they offered was completely different to another group of therapists. I'm like, so I got really curious. What is the difference between the two? And I think the biggest difference is thinking like a consumer. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is before we become a therapist, before we, jump into business, and we know that 85% of massage therapists are working for themselves in some capacity. Yeah, the statistics show us from the associations that that's the case. So, although many of you might be employed, many people in the massage business support network are running their own business on some level. So I'm like, okay, so you go and you consume. So you're going and you're buying. You're going to Coles, you're going to Woolies, you're going to Aldi's, you're going to your local shopping centre and you're buying stuff and looking for potentially the cheapest option for a lot of us. And yet, when we think like that, what we tend to do is bring everything down to the bare minimum. This is where it's at. It's just about the cost. Now, if I'm buying peas, like peas and corn, it really doesn't matter if I buy Golden Circle, No Brand, Aldi, whatever. Peas and corn are peas and corn, right? Frozen peas and corn is frozen peas and corn. When I start looking at cars, when I start looking at sound systems, things start to change. My perception of what might be valuable and what might be better starts to change the bigger ticket the item. If I said to you, I've got two stereos, this stereo over here is $30 and this stereo over here is $900, which do you think is better quality? Like, based on nothing, I've not told you anything else, which do you think is better quality? Yeah, well, every single person I've asked this to in person says the $900 stereo. You don't know anything about them. You don't know the brands. You don't know what's in them. You don't know the technology behind it. You know nothing other than the price. This perception of value happens, we don't even know why, but there is a massive perception of value. So if you have a bunch of massage therapists in your area, and in Ocean Grove, where I'm from, there's about 13,000 people, and I kid you not, when I Googled massage in my area, 35 massage therapists within a 5 to 10 kilometer radius or 2.5 to 5 mile radius. Yeah, if you're from the North America. Like, we're not talking an area that was like, oh, but there wasn't anyone else here, or, this was crazy. So there were heaps and heaps of competition. And if there is lots of competition, and people don't know, because the thing is, we think everyone knows what we know. We think everyone knows about the fascia and the postural things and the trigger points. They don't know. They don't know because they didn't study remedial massage like we did. They haven't studied the body. They don't actually know what goes on in the body. All they know is price, usually. And so if all we're looking at is this therapist down the road is charging this, and I could be charging this, or I could be charging this, or I could be charging this, like, something fundamentally shifts when we change our perception and move from a consumer to being more intentional about running our business. And this is about starting with the end in mind. And it's a paradigm shift that we actually as an industry need to have. And this is why I have been coaching and why I'm probably going to be here until I retire. And even then, I'm probably still going to work with you guys because I love this industry and I'm so ridiculously passionate about bodywork and the incredible work that we have the privilege of doing every single day when we walk into those treatment rooms and we get to interact with another human. Can I just side note, slight tangent. Side quest. We are the only modality that gets the privilege of putting our hands on someone for up to 60 minutes. Did you know that? Like, think about it. No other profession on the planet gets the opportunity or the privilege to do that. How cool. Okay, so thinking like a consumer, coming back off the side quest. Thinking like an entrepreneur and starting with the end in mind. Thinking like a business leader. It's like taking that therapist hat off. It's taking that consumer hat off, putting on another hat and saying, right, this is what I stand for. I'm going to make a decision to start to think differently. Starting with the end in mind looks at how much money do I want to be paid in a 12-month period. It looks at what would I need to set aside for tax for that. It looks at would I have to, if I'm in Australia or if I'm in New Zealand, do I need to register for GST and at what point? And how could I make provision for that? And how could I set aside even, and I know this is crazy, but putting aside for super as well on my wages. Starting with the end in mind means you might be wanting to earn, and like you're allowed to earn whatever you like. You might want to be earning six figures. You want to be paying yourself, $500 a week, $1,000 a week, $2,000 a week. There's no right or wrong. It's all about our perception and then figuring out what do I have to do to make that happen. What I know is that if we charge $90 a session, we see 25 clients a week, we work 48 weeks of the year, it's $108,000. Now, if I worked it out with $100 sessions, if we see 25 clients a week, it's $2,500 a year. $2,500 a week. Yes, that's right. Just making sure I got my maths correct here. Times that by 48 weeks of the year is 138, I think it is. I've forgotten the maths. Help me out if you're watching along. Yeah, like there's a lot, there is such potential to make money. And yet we have this dichotomy as therapists that we think we either have to help people, look after them and care for them, or make money. And I have this crazy belief. What if we could do both? What if we had the capacity to make an incredible impact, to help heal people and make money? Like, I know, right? What if that was possible? It wasn't one or the other. So figuring out what do you want to pay yourself, how many hours a week, 25 hours is like your upper baseline. Not everyone wants to do that. Some people just want to see 10 clients a week. Awesome. What do you want to be making from that? This flipping it changes our perception massively. Once we've got that in mind. Okay, so once we've got this in mind, then this is great, Leash, awesome. Okay, it's challenging, but I understand it. How do we do it? How do we actually put our prices up and start to charge like a business owner as opposed to charge like a consumer? And sometimes for some of you, even reading through the threads, it's going to be a big jump. And I'm going to give you a little sneaky behind the scenes here. The people who responded to say they put their prices up massively are all clients that we've worked with. And I did not expect that to happen. I did not intend for them to comment. They just did because they're awesome and rock on. And thank you to all of you. They didn't do it because they woke up one day and thought, I know what I'll do. I'll start to charge premium. This will be easy for me. In fact, many of them kind of wanted to, just a bit of they were really scared. They were really nervous because they're human. Yeah, they're human, and just like you, they're scared of judgment. They're scared of putting themselves out there. They're scared of all the things. They're not unique and different and complete unicorns. They're people who had to learn to build the muscle of confidence, who were surrounded by incredible people, and who were made that decision that said, I am not a consumer. I am a business owner, and what I do matters. And so they drew that line in the sand and said, right, this is who I am now. So how do we do it? The first thing I would recommend for all of you is to put up your initial consultation price. This helps you to get used to saying higher numbers, and it also allows you to liquidate any ad spend. So if you are marketing, you're spending any marketing dollars, it actually allows you to get back some of that money. It's what we call liquidate your ad spend. So at least 10, preferably 20, depending on how you feel when you say it, yeah? Because this is what normally happens. It's like, I charge $120 for an initial consultation. That's the way you'll say it the first time, when you're like, your voice is really tight, you speak up really high, and you're kind of like waiting for what's going to happen? And the weird thing is, this is what'll happen. People are like, yeah, sure, no worries, do you have a spot next Wednesday? And you'll be like, what? Huh? But who would do this? This is crazy. And yet, It gets you used to the perception, just like those cruise ship therapists who would say, that'll be $250, please. And someone would give them a $50 gratuity, which means they just charge $300 for a 1 hour massage. Yeah, they did that so often. If they did that for, a few rotations, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, you don't come back and go, people can't pay. It's the perception of it. So number 1 is put up your initial consultation. Number 2 is this is how we do it. This is how we recommend. We've done heaps of training on this and it's super important. Basically, you say to your client, okay, so today is the day that I am going to choose to step into being an entrepreneur. And I'm going to stand in that. So you put your prices up. Like it's done. It's just done. And you go in, you change your website, your Facebook, and you put up different flyers through the clinic. Like it's done. And then your clients come in and you're like, I'm just letting you know, I've had a price rise. So next time when you come in, it will be XYZ. No need to email. No need to apologize profusely. I'm so sorry on behalf of all of humanity. Unfortunately. No good email starts with unfortunately. Yeah, no good sign starts with unfortunate. Unfortunately, the clinic is closed due to unforeseen circumstances. Unfortunately, I can't be. Unfortunately, I have to put my... No, nothing good starts with unfortunately. Yeah, even a series of unfortunate events is not great because it's a series of things that aren't great. All we do is we put them up and we have a face-to-face conversation like a normal person and say, I'm just letting you know that next time when you come in, it'll be X amount. And then you book them in at the higher price. So you book it on your system, which means I've told them. Now, what happens if a client hasn't been in for a while? They didn't rebook and they go onto your website and they go to book a booking and they're booked in at the higher price. What do you do then? You charge them at the higher rate because they booked in at that. They know it. Yeah, they've said yes to that. They're like, yes, this is what I've done. This is my thing now. And so being able to just have that conversation, because you're a people-y person when you're a therapist. You can't be a great therapist and not want to interact with people. It's a dichotomy. It's like one or the other. You are an exceptional therapist, and when you have that conversation from a heart-centered space, when you literally just show up and say, just letting you know I've had a price rise, so next time when you come in, it'll be $85, it'll be $90, it'll be $100. Most people are going to look at you and go, sure, no worries. Some people might go, ooh, and you'll go, can I make that in 6 weeks as opposed to 4? Yeah? Would you prefer I book you in for a 45-minute as opposed to an hour? This process, we have worked with literally hundreds of therapists. We went through and we did the maths. It has been hundreds of therapists. We've had over 700 graduates from our smaller programs and over 300 graduates from our bigger programs. We know that this works, and we've worked with so many therapists that were so scared and so fearful, but when they had that mindset shift to go, right, I'm going to start charging like a business owner, because now I know what I want. I know I want to invest in this training. I want to go to this thing. I want to go to this retreat. I want to go and attend this thing in Canada, or I want to go to this thing in Bali. I want to go to this thing in America. Like, you have to raise your rates in order to do that, because otherwise it's not going to happen. Now, a couple of other things I just want to quickly add in here, and then we'll wrap up, was inflation. So let's say you've been charging the same rate for the last 5 years or more, but let's go with 5 years. Let's been saying, I've been charging the same amount of money for this because I don't want to pass on this to my clients. Okay, remember, this is thinking like a consumer. Inflation means everything you buy, your power, your oil, your consumables, your water, your towel, everything you buy is more expensive. So if you keep your rate at the same amount every single year, what that means is that your profit gets smaller and smaller and smaller, because your massage rate is the same, but everything you need to pay for, even your association fees go up, everything goes up. So what that means is, all of a sudden you've got less profit. And so sometimes people are like, I just feel like I'm not making any money. I'm still working really hard and I'm seeing all these amazing clients, but I'm just not making any money. And so that's often because of inflation. So you need to raise your rates every year just to stay ahead of inflation. And if you only put them up by a couple of bucks, you're basically making the same amount of money every year. So in order to be able to make more profit and to have a business that is fulfilling, because I tell you what, there's nothing more or less fulfilling than not making money and working your guts out. Yeah, working really hard and not making money, rocking up to the table every day and there's just nothing in your bank account, everything's empty. It's like, that sucks. And yet the one thing that we can do is that we can flip that switch. We can tweak this lever in order to be able to get clients to pay more money and come and see us. And even in this crazy economic climate, people will, because you've seen evidence. And I'm going to tag all the people into this that have been asking about how to raise rates. Just like recapping, knowing that this is so important. It's about our perception. It's about thinking like a business leader, not like a consumer. It's about starting with the end in mind. And it's about getting comfortable with saying the numbers. Yeah, I charge $120 for an initial consultation. And my follow-up consultations are $100. Yeah, the more you say it, the more consistent you'll sound. If you go down at the end of the sentence, people will believe you more than if you go up at the end of the sentence. Yeah, being able to say, this is what I charge, and standing in that. It's going to feel weird at the start and your voice will probably go up really high. That's okay. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't. It's just simply resistance to growth. I would love to hear what has been your biggest takeaway. I know this is a really quite robust live, and I'm wrapping up. I would love to know what has been your biggest takeaway from this. I know that this is such an important message for our industry, to be charging what we're worth, because the perception, not just for us, but for people in the community, they need to see that we are valuable, that we are really good at what we do, and we have absolute quality treatments and education and so much passion for the incredible work that we do. Have a sensational day, and I look forward to seeing your comments come through this as well.